Okay, so I want to welcome Dr. Glenn Maleyko, who is currently our Executive Director of Staff and Student Service, students here in Dearborn. And I want to take a minute to go over the process, just so that the audience knows and so that you know what's going to take place here tonight. The total interview will take up to 60 minutes, and there will be approximately 15 to 16 questions. Most of the questions are asked of both candidates. However, some may be unique to each candidate. Toward the end, we'll give Glenn an opportunity to ask questions of the board. We will entertain questions submitted by the audience if time remains, and we'll provide an opportunity for Glenn to make a closing statement, and Dr. Wilmot will keep us informed of the time remaining. Audience feedback and questions may be submitted from our audience on the forms located at the table by the wall. This is the green form, so if anyone has questions, Dr. Wilmot will pick them up for us. The board will consider these comments in the forms. If the forms have been signed, they are not duplicative of questions already asked, and the question is legal and if time permits. The task of choosing the next superintendent is the responsibility of the board as representatives of the community. We appreciate and seek input of staff and community in the process. Please keep in mind the issues that we may not use as a basis for our hiring decisions. They are printed on the bottom of the form. We will pick up these sheets towards the end of the interview. So I don't think we need to go through introductions of the board members. I think that we're well acquainted with who you are. But I do believe there are some introductions that you have a few people here with you tonight.
Sure.
That you can introduce to us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think I shook hands with everyone, maybe other than Ms. Bazzi before, so I'll just kind of go to the introduction and thank you for the time. So I brought my family here. Last time I said at the it wasn't the right time to bring my family to the interview. I feel like right now it is the right time, and they've been supportive of me, and they're here. So I'd like to start with introducing my father, Mike Maleyko, my mother, Sharon, and her husband, Dan, my stepfather. They've been very supportive of me as a professional and my aspirations, both educationally and hockey and other things throughout my life. Also want to mention my father-in-law, Joe, who is here. Oh, he's on this side. He is a lot of times driving our children all over to hockey, soccer, dance, and just providing support for them. So we want to thank him. His wife, Mary, is actually ill today, but she wanted to be here. She called me this morning and apologized, but she was ill. Also, my wonderful wife, Joanne, is here. We just celebrated 19 years of marriage this past Monday, so thank her for being here. Thank you. My two children, Ashley and Justin, are here in the front row, and a lot of you know them because you've seen them at different events. And just this 2 weeks ago, Ashley actually was the winner of the Duval PTA-sponsored pie throwing contest. Coincidentally, 5 years ago, she also won when then Principal Maleyko, or otherwise known as Dad, received the delivery of a pie. She really has great aim. I think Principal Addy is here, and he can attest to that. I know he's somewhere, the current principal right now. Justin loves book bingo, all Dearborn events, and I think his favorite is the homecoming because he loves the rides. It's a big roller coaster. He has no fear. I also want to mention my grandmother is here, Anne, who's 92 years old. She, along with my grandparents who've passed away, Charlotte, Benjamin, and Tony, I know they'd be very proud of me and the profession I've chosen. In fact, I'd mentioned my grandfather, Tony. He thought there was no greater service than educating children, and he was proud of me throughout becoming a teacher and a principal, and they often visited me in my school. My grandfather, Tony, was a role model for a lot of his grandchildren, and he not only served our family, but this country as he served in the U.S. Navy in World War II in the Pacific Ocean. So there's a lot of dedication and history here for our family, and so I just wanted to take the time to mention them and thank them for all of their support. So I appreciate all that you've done to help me. Thank you for that. And I just wanted one other mention, if I could. I have a student here. I'm not sure where I saw her, Leo Mustafa. I'm not sure where she's a student that was in 5th grade at Duval. Her letter is in the packet that I mentioned her last time, and proud of her. She's a current student at DCMST and Dearborn High, and I've seen her several times as I've gone into the schools, and proud of her accomplishments. And to me, she represents one of the many students that we together have really worked towards making a difference in their lives. So I thank her for coming and supporting me here today as well. So, thank you.
That was great. Great way to start. So we're going to ask you several questions, and just like in the previous interview, we'll rotate so
Okay,
that you get to
sure.
hear from all of us. So the first question is, Dearborn has a long tradition of close collaboration with parent groups such as the PTA. How would you go about establishing and maintaining a strong relationship with the PTA and other parent groups?
Well, I think my history has been I have a great relationship with the PTA. In fact, the PTA council on the district levels has even provided me with support, and there was a letter that was in there showing that I've worked with them over the years. Again, I think working over time, I've worked with the PTA at Duval heavily, and I think moving forward, with the PTA, the one thing that I think is that I learned with the PTA is that, you always think of fundraising and things, and they do that, and they do a great job with fundraising. But one of the missions within their guidelines of the PTA is to get involved in curriculum and educational issues. And so for me, I'd involve them as well and partner them in those type of issues. So for example, literacy night, mathematics night, getting together, and the school improvement process. We've had parents, and I'd like to encourage even more, when we have the school improvement process that goes on throughout the district, we have parents that sit on those committee, and a lot of times it is from the PTA. And so I think that I would promote those both on a district level, support it. I understand there's uniqueness within each school, and they would have my support by attending the PTA council and having access to me on a routine basis. And that they together, the PTA, the parents, and the community, I think together we can promote the district. And it is really important. I really came to appreciate the value of parents working together with educators, especially during my time at the school level at Saline and Duval. Obviously, I've been in human resources the last 4 years, but I've still been visible and active with the PTA. So I think that is important. And again, I would like to see them get involved in school improvement process and developing processes to support student learning.
If selected as Dearborn's next superintendent, you'll be facing many new challenges overnight. What approaches and techniques would you leverage to assist you in successfully transitioning to these greater responsibilities?
Well, one of the things that I added in my 90-day plan as far as the transitioning is really, first of all, continuing to enhance relationships. I think it is important to, the first thing I have within there is, meeting with all of you as the Board of Education. I know a lot of you, but I think it's important that we get together. It's a different relationship if I am now the superintendent. And so I think that's critical within the transition. I have some other ideas in the 90-day plan and some even broader ideas because I've been here so long, and I'd want to discuss those with you. I think we should also together and under my leadership, if I am the superintendent, I would be working with the team that we have, the cabinet members, to help with that transition. One of the things I have in there, as superintendent, you're also in charge of everything within the district, working with the direction of the board, and for example, going and seeing the new construction within the schools, working with the operations director. So I think those are things that I've got to become more familiar with other areas of the district. And I also think that it's, when you're a superintendent, especially a district like this, you have a lot of good people around you. So you have to rely on them, and you have to constantly be involved and engaged in conversation with them and provide support. But yet you're accountable, and they're accountable. And so again, I think I'm going to develop the relationships and meet with a lot of people and find out what ideas they have so that we can move forward together as a team.
Ms. Lane's going to take over now.
One point of pride for Dearborn Public Schools has been the Dearborn Center for Math, Science, and Technology. It was recently stated at a board meeting that this specialized high school program needs re-energizing. How do you feel about premier programs and their effect on the broader district? What would you suggest should be done, if anything?
Well, I think that is one example of the options we provide for students, and I would like to promote options for students, including DCMST, and if we need to look at any changes that need to be made within the program, we should be open to that if things aren't working. I think that, as it's been brought forward with students, that's where I talked about that student advisory committee, where we can listen to the students and hear the things that they think are important. Within here, I also provided you with last time I provided you with an enhanced learning model. I believe Dr. Wilmot gave you this kind of flow sheet here, and it gives you an outline. And some of the things I have in there, I do think that's one of the strengths that we've provided here within the district is the different options in the programs with students. So things like dual enrollment, I think we need to promote that. I think that's a strength that we've had within the district. We have the early college program as well. We have collegiate academy, and there's many other things that we provide within the school district. I do believe that we have to make sure, though, that as we offer these programs, that we're articulating it, not just the high school, but we're considering students when they start at an earlier level. And that's why one of my big plans is to enhance the articulation at all levels within the school district, elementary, middle, working more closely as a team. So that might mean for DCMST, you start STEM programs in elementary and or in middle school, and that, therefore, when they go to the high school level, they're ready. I also believe that we just don't want students taking classes for the sake of taking classes with no direction. Now, everybody changes their career path. I do think I mentioned, I changed. I was going into one career and then my first year. But we want them to make sure that the time is meaningful. So when they're taking dual enrollment classes or they're in a career track or in a DCMST program, that it's something that is going to benefit them in the future.
When making decisions that have opposing interests coming from different school community groups, how would you determine the best direction to choose, and how would you support it?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to go back to, and I said this at the last interview, I've got to remind myself, and within the mission of Dearborn Schools, it's about the students. So as opposing viewpoints come forward, we have to remember that any decision we make, and I think I said it last time, I would even remind you, the board, that we're here for students, and I would remind the community groups. Again, I would sit down and listen to their different ideas. What is the issue that's going on, and maybe is there something that we can change, or can we come to a compromise? Even though the viewpoint might be different, if we sit down together with the differences, is there any way we can come together? Because what it means to me is, if we have two groups that have strong viewpoints, I believe that they're probably here because they care about the school system or the students. So why not bring them together? And again, you may have to make a decision, and you might not, in the end, please everybody. I'm willing to do that, but I would like to go through a process where everybody feels included and input, so that their voices can be heard. And I have had some experience with that, both at my time as a principal and as a central office administrator, where you're looking at different viewpoints and you're balancing the decision you must make. So it'd be one of inclusive, and again, I'd go back to students and student learning.
Glenn, please describe a typical day of work for you in your current position.
Sure. I believe one of the things the strength that I have is, when I came into human resources, I came with instructional background, but I also had some HR level experience. And I've tried to change the image of human resources not coming into when there's just an issue or a problem. Very visible within the day. So my day may start out in the central office, and then I go into the buildings. Sometimes within a day, I may have some meetings. If it's a Monday, I'm meeting with the superintendent. I can tell you that I'm also in the superintendent's office probably the most out of anyone in the district, because I keep him informed, and I'm often within that office. So I have to dialogue with him and provide guidance. Then again, going to the schools, visiting with the schools, and going into the classrooms. I may be in a school improvement visit, or I might be getting called in for a principal and he needs assistance, and there I'm sitting with them in their office, and then we're going to walk into the classrooms. Because we have 32 schools, the other thing that I do think is important is visibility, and I want the staff to know that when I come in, it's to support and provide support. And so, using things like social media to promote that within the day, I think, are important. Again, then checking email as well, and a lot of times it's meeting with union leadership. That would be another aspect of my day.
How have you prepared yourself to assume the top leadership role in a Michigan public school district?
Well, and I kind of went over my history at the last interview, but just to some of the things, the last 4 years, working, understanding, I came from the instructional side, so I have that experience. But then going into human resources, I've started to really understand and work hard at the business side of school operations. Working with the budget, working closely with Sam Barna on budgetary issues, And in addition to that, working closely with the superintendent, and he promoted me, and all of you have supported going to different superintendent training camps. So I've been in several training courses over the last 4 years, and I've received the endorsement. I believe I mentioned that the last time. And the other thing I think, especially for this school district, is preparing for this school district with, we do have a large student population, a large number of employees. One of the things working with the community and the employees and all of you is just the trust that's been built, I believe. The integrity and trust, and I think that we disagree at times with individuals in the community, but they know that I'm fair and they know that I'm there for the students. The track record has been for the students, and so even though I've done these things at the central office level, even in my position as human resources, I'm still reminding myself, I'm here for the children.
What basic philosophies do you have regarding collective bargaining, and what roles should the superintendent play in the process?
Well, I believe that, we can work together. I think I've been through different collective bargainings, and I've led the collective bargaining in the district with 4 separate contracts with the major union groups. And I've seen differences within each, and I've seen styles. I like an interest-based bargaining position where we actually sit down and come up with a solution. Now, at times you might still disagree, but why not work together collaboratively and try to come with a solution? And then when you come up with an agreement, despite the budgetary cuts and things that we face, we've all faced that across the state. People are still respectful, and I believe that that's how I've operated as with my collective bargaining as the director of human resources, is that the trust is there. And there were times when, there's disagreements and it's heated and there's hours and hours in that room that you have to spend. So I'd rather spend it with people that there is some trust, and the same token, I have to understand that I'm here to protect the interests of the district, the long-term financial stability, and for the students again. And so again, those are the things that I have to do under the direction of the Board of Education.
What do you think is the role of the superintendent?
I'm sorry, yeah, that was the second part. I think the superintendent is heavily involved. He has to be heavily informed. With one bargaining group, we actually had the superintendent there, but normally the superintendent is not sitting directly at the table, but he's constantly involved and engaged in information. So whenever there is a collective bargaining situation, the chief negotiator has the right to go into the superintendent's office and almost talk immediately, unless maybe there's a board member or somebody in there, But that's just a priority that's given because it is important time, and so you have to make sure. So I would insist that my team keeps me informed every step of the way, so I can keep the board informed, so that we can, negotiate a fair contract for the district and for the employees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When problems surface or a mistake has been made, how do you feel that information should be communicated to the board, employee groups, and the general public?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is, I'm all for transparency. I believe that we should be transparent and provide information. And sometimes, I guess it depends on what the mistake is, but we need to own up to our mistakes and say we've made mistakes. And so, as far as with Board of Education or anything, I would be honest about it and just say, a mistake was made. How can we fix it, and, fix it next time? But again, then what you need to do is look at your mistake. Why did it happen? And make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. Now, if it's something extremely serious and you're talking about student safety, then that's a whole nother situation. So I guess it depends on the level of the mistake. But I think open and being honest about what occurred. I would also say to you, depending on the level, people are going to make mistakes if you allow them, empower them to take risks. So with the board and the public and the community, I'd say, look, we're working hard for your students, and we're empowering our staff to make a difference for the children. And so mistakes will happen. And I think what you need to do is learn from it and make sure it doesn't happen again, and then move forward and be honest and transparent about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the past, our district and community have been unjustly thrust into the national spotlight due to misinformed, negative outside influences, such as unwanted protest visits from bigoted individuals and groups. As superintendent, how would you approach and prepare for such a situation?
So I've been involved in those situations, and in fact, just this past Monday, I met with Chief Haddad and going over some of the processes. We've had that occur here, and I've been involved. The one time it happened, particularly a couple of years ago, I was assigned to Fortson High School when there was a protest going on at Edsel Ford. And so I think you need to work with your staff, keep them informed, work with the city, work with the police, law enforcement, and take precautionary steps. Make sure you're on top of things to ensure the safety of students. And then also, I think in one time what occurred is, you've got to feel it out working with city officials and empower people and depend on their expertise, because sometimes making a bigger deal of it, and I think the last time we had one of those protests, it wasn't such a big deal, and it kind of died down and the press didn't even come. So it had to do with how we handled the first situation. And so my experience is I would work with the city officials, and I'd work with all our employees in cabinet. I'd work with our operations director and our safety and security specialist to make sure that we're in good communication with everyone and make sure the board's informed as to what we're doing.
Thank you. Many new theories, innovations, and philosophies have been introduced into educational delivery in the past decade. What new idea do you feel has been the most effective in improving learning?
Well, there's a few things, and I mentioned it last time, and I am going to say if it's done effectively. I do think that the special education co-teaching model, which that model not only for special education students, but that model can be implemented effectively for all students. And what you do is you implement strategies within the classroom that that make students looking at the data within the classroom and ensuring that you're providing service to students and leading their education within the class. And what it means is you have to do things for that model so that the students all feel included within the process. And I think the thing with the co-teaching is that you cannot just put two teachers in a classroom and then it's going to work. You have to implement the strategies by research that will work. Another thing I'll mention is ELL strategies. I think that especially in this district we have 47% ELL learners, and effective strategies like sheltered observation protocol, and we are one of the leaders within not only the state but within the nation, I think, on some of our ELL models. Again, I would like to do some things in enhancing that even further, but those are two things that I think are effective. And then I think interventions for all students, focusing on mathematics and literacy, and providing the need for students, not only students that are struggling, but also your high-achieving students, to have a well-balanced program. And within that, a lot of times what you're doing is, it's not the main thing, but the technology is a big part of that. It entices the students to get involved and really gives them the control of their education.
Thank you. I have one additional question as well. What are your ideas and vision of what every Dearborn graduate should have accomplished upon graduation, and how would you measure individual student progress and success?
So I do believe that, obviously we have the merit curriculum and the high school standards that everyone, we want to ensure, I know our graduation rates have gone up, and we want to ensure that every student graduates with the tools they need to be successful beyond high school. And for each student, that may be something different. So it may not be the same for every student. Now, every student needs some of the basic educational curriculum, the mathematics, the language arts, obviously civics and things that they need, because they need to understand the foundations of our country and understand how to participate in society. But I do believe that, there's different, and I think this district, we've done that. I think that's why programs like, dual enrollment, the Collegiate Academy, the early college, for example. So one student, what might be best for them is going into dual enrollment classes because they might be university bound. For another student, it might be, the early college, and that's something that works for them, and they get the 2-year associate's degree. That's the thing that I'm excited that we're going to be moving on the manufacturing early college soon, because I know the business community is so then these students can come out and get employed and they can make a good living. And so I think that's important to me. You have to have the main core values, you have to have the main curriculum, but then you also have to make sure that we're providing opportunities for students so that they can be successful beyond high school.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, it's my turn. I'll let you drink.
Okay, thank you.
Don't want you to spit it out. What concerns do you have about this position, and what do you believe may be the greatest challenge you will face in the first year?
Well, obviously, you're entering something new, so there's a new realm. I know we have a large school district. I'm responsible for almost 20,000 students. So, that will be something that will weigh on me, that I have to make sure that I'm on top of things, that I'm protecting the interests of students, that I'm doing my due diligence to ensure that I'm doing an effective job. And so I guess that would be a concern, but I'm confident in my ability to do that. I'll just tell you one other thing that I'm concerned about is, I haven't been involved in it, I've only been told, but, calling snow days and things like that. That's probably the biggest fear I have.
Which became very important, as we noted at graduation.
And I think it was the snow days, it was freezing cold days is what they were considering.
Those things frighten me, I hear, but we'll still get the job done. I understand, I get the call in the end telling me they're there, but that's, But I do think, and I think the second part concerns, and then the belief. As superintendent, I think that I'm prepared. I really am. I'm confident in my ability. You have all prepared me. Brian has prepared me these last 4 years, especially these last 2 years. I'm ready for this, and I'm ready for any challenge. Again, will I possibly make some mistakes along the way? I'm sure we're all learners, and if we didn't make mistakes, or if we didn't strive to improve, then that's when I think we become stagnant. We're not doing a good job. And so for me, it is going to be, a continual strive for excellence despite whatever challenges. The good thing is we got a lot of good people in this district. So that will be my supportive network. It'll be the good people, the expertise, you, the Board of Education, under your leadership. It'll be the cabinet members, the principals, the community, the PTA, the parents, the business leaders. We can all come together, and that's where I'm confident. I'm confident in my ability because of the trust that we've developed and, my strive for excellence for the sake of students. So I'm confident we will be successful.
Assuming that every school district should do a good job in the basics, what is needed beyond the basics to ensure that all students have a solid preparation for their future?
Sure. So I think we all need the basics, but again, some of it is the different options for students, but some of it is just getting students excited about their learning. The My Learning Plan, I think that's something that we want to, we have it in the elementary, then we move it to middle school, and then it goes into the high school. I think that what we really need to do is give the students more control over their education. I would like to have where we have facilitators that are teachers in the classroom, and the students are taking the lead. And the power, I mentioned Leo Mustafa. There were times when, she's going out into another class and developing a project with others, and they're working together, and they're excited. They're excited about what they're going to accomplish. And so, to me, I think those are important things. I think, technology skills. I think students are natural with technology. I've been one of the leaders in this district for the last 15 years at implementing technology and understanding the strengths. Now, I will say to you that I see the basics as, the technology is a tool to get to the other areas. It's not an end in itself. It's a method and a tool. We know the students have technology, they use it. Why shouldn't we? We should use it to our advantage. We should they're going to be there and using and engaging it. So let's work with them. And if that means, providing more staff development for our teachers and all of our staff, we'll do that.
I have the final. Any questions? Elementary classroom teachers in general sometimes feel as though central administration really does not understand the challenges they face in the classroom every day. How would you go about establishing, developing, and maintaining a positive working relationship with elementary teachers?
Well, the first thing is that my history was I was an elementary teacher, and I spent time as an elementary principal at Duval. So there's some credibility just from being involved with that. And so as far as understanding and building trust, that's one of the things that I've done by going into the classrooms and showing them what I'm able to do and the fact that I'm there to support them. I've done that as a principal. I've also empowered them at the elementary level. So what we want to do is not go in and tell everybody what they need to do. at the, mandate. What we need is we need their opinions. Now, again, we have some curriculum and things that we have to, because we have like the Daily 5 Cafe at the elementary level, and we have specific math curriculum that we know is important. But as we're starting to implement that, we need to understand their ideas and value them. And because I do think that, a lot of times it's just like I said, listening to the students. We need to listen. And so some of the communication channels I've already developed with, union leadership, so ideas can come to them. I did that as the building principal. I developed leadership teams so they would come to me. They had access to me on a regular basis and kept me informed of what was going on. Then what would happen is once we developed a plan, they felt more of a buy-in because it wasn't just my idea, it was their idea. They were developing it. And so I do think, providing that sort of support, and, one of the best things is if you're, you have a bad day or something's going on, walk into that kindergarten classroom and see the power of the students and what they're doing. And I just think the visibility is critical, and empowering them and just listening to their ideas.
Moving from an assistant superintendent role to superintendent, one of the major leadership challenges will be accepting less hands-on control of your primary area of expertise and allowing autonomy to your administrative team. How do you envision your leadership style changing, and what methods might you employ to foster growth and success of the administrative team? How would you preserve their autonomy yet ensure the goals of the district are accomplished?
Well, I think what I said is we've got to value what's going on and all the expertise. I'm not a micromanager. I believe in shared leadership philosophy. But we still have to be on top of what's going on. I need to be informed. And what does that mean? That means having regular meetings, cabinet meetings. I've been part of cabinet for the last 4 years on every Monday morning. And so we would lead those meetings within cabinet, and I'd allow individuals to share their ideas as directors and executive directors within their departments, because now I would not necessarily be able to be involved in some of those direct situations, but I need to be informed. And I would also say routine meetings, open door policy. An open door policy I think is critical. That's one of the things I know that Brian has implemented, I've implemented, and I think that that is critical. You need to have your team around you and support you. Now, what I will also say, as far as supporting them, I believe we should support and grow leadership. I told you that I believe this is a tribute that you've allowed me to get involved in things. I think we need to promote allowing cabinet and other members to go to different trainings and bring some of that expertise and knowledge back. I think we should promote that. I've believed in that all my career as a principal. I've done that with teachers, the staff development that's been provided, and the training, on the job training and learning. And so, learning together I think is critical, and preserving their autonomy. And at the same token, there's going to be times though when we need to debate things. I want them to challenge my ideas and thoughts, because you're going to come up with the best idea that way. But then once the decision's made, we need to support each other as a team.
Sorry, it's back to me. I just had to write my notes. We do have a couple questions from the audience, but before we get to that point, I want to allow you the opportunity to ask us any questions that you may have for us at this time.
Okay. So I guess the only thing, and the main thing is I just, I gave you the 90-day plan, and obviously it's a draft document, and that would just be one question I had. Is there anything that anything that you liked or stand out, or anything that you thought that could possibly, I know that you've already kind of talked to some of you about the student advisory committee, so that's really the main question that I have is, what are your thoughts on that? And moving forward, again, this is a draft document, so I believe that it will be developed and modeled as we move forward as a team, Superintendent Board of Education team. And so some of the main ideas, without going through the full document, have just on that one sheet that I had, feeder track restructuring, I guess, let's just use that as an example. Would the board be favorable to looking at different models and looking at different ideas?
Well, I just want to say that I thought that the packet that you put together for us was very useful and insightful into the way that you process information and think about stuff. And I think that I'm a planner. I fly by the seat of my pants, but I need to know where things are going. They might not get there the way that I want them to, and so I understand that process, and I appreciate that process. Just the fact that you're looking forward and thinking about things and putting them in paper and soliciting ideas, I like. We've had a conversation over the past week at graduation regarding the Student Advisory Committee, and like many people know, I'm always have an opinion on stuff. So I already gave you my,
Okay.
10,000 thoughts on that. But I think that they're great ideas, and I think that there's a lot that we could accomplish. So I won't monopolize. I will pass it to my fellow board members to comment.
I just want to add something about your feeder track. I think that's terribly important because we have to build on the foundations, and we have to move students in the right direction seamlessly. And I like the fact that, and we're unique in the fact that we're a P14 district, but I would like to not lose any students along the way. I want it to be seamless, and I think we have the ability to do that, but we need to work on that a little bit.
I'm kind of curious about one of the parts of your 90-day plan is to connect with parents and students through a home visit model.
Yes.
What is that?
Okay, so this is something that I'm working on with the union right now, and it's a joint collaborating. We had a group of union heads and myself from the DFT, and we went to a conference in Chicago that was how can we work better together. This is the second one we went to in a row, and we came back with the idea of providing this model so that we can connect better with the students and understand what's going on. So we'd like to start maybe small, but implementing a home visit model, because then, a lot of times that builds trust with the parents. And I can tell you, when I was at Salina, I went on home visits as a teacher, principal, and the trust you built by just going and meeting with the family and sitting down in their home and talking to them, it shows that you really care. And then you have a better understanding of what they're going through. And, my first year as a teacher, when there was something going on, I went to the home with the children, and I've seen it work. And I think we have support where, we have to look for how we're going to implement it, but we have a group that's coming together right now, and we're going to look at maybe even putting some staffing support into that area. So this would be a joint partnership with the union and with cabinet administration, and it was an idea that stemmed really from, the union president, Chris Sipperly, and the group that we went to Chicago with, and we saw this model that was effective out, in a city outside of Chicago. So we're going to fine-tune it and tone it, but really it's about going out to the homes and meeting with families, and so we started on a small level and measure the success of it. But I could tell you my personal experience, and I did it at Duval as well, was that it is effective. It really is.
I've been to several conferences that I had sessions, that I attended sessions on it, and it's something that's been tested in quite a few inner-city school districts and has came out with fabulous results.
Yes.
And I think it definitely could be a model that we could use in this district.
Well, because if you have an issue with a student, let's say it's a discipline issue or whatever, and the parent knows that you've been there, and they know you really care. You just going out into the I mean, it really shows that you care, and you can connect with them. And you, honestly, some of the places I went, you get understanding of what some of the students are going through. You really do. You get you can empathize more with their situation.
And it gives the parent a point of contact so
Yes,
that the school setting
absolutely.
isn't so scary.
Yes, definitely.
It's practiced in Canada regularly, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and we do have the program with our early childhood. We do have the home visit program as well, being implemented. So, can I just mention too?
Certainly.
You mentioned, with some of these ideas. I did meet with Dr. Jensen the other day, and he's gone over a continuous process improvement that he implements at the college, and so some of the things that within the 90-day plan, we could use that process. He's willing to come over and provide support and training and work collaboratively with, K-12 and with the college to implement this. And we saw that, possibly we could do use one of them, one of the processes for improvement. And really, I believe most of you are familiar because you've seen them implement it. And really, it's about the process. And the thing I liked about it is it really looks at data. It really is a system and a function that's put in place, and then you measure your data. So I know the college, for example, they were measuring the number of phone calls and things and who's answering it. Well, we talked about, one of the things in my 90-day plan is the blog. I really think we need to serve our communicate and serve our parents better by implementing blogs. And so could that be one area that we may want to implement through that process and then look at others, like strategic planning and other things? So I was actually very excited to hear about that, and part of it stemmed from the student advisory committee, and I knew he had some ideas, and I did attend the board meeting last year when he talked about the customer service process, so we could use it for customer service as well.
Collaboration. Okay, well, if you don't have anything further for us, any other questions, we do have a couple audience questions that I would like to present to you. This is from Radalwan. When Mr. Whiston interviewed for the Dearborn Superintendent 7 years ago, he set the goal of a 5-year free college with Henry Ford College. Do you have a one goal or program you want to champion more than any other?
Well, I believe I want to champion, I call it the learning model, and it does have different components. But within there is that feeder track, the articulation. I really believe that we need to, again, we've done some good work, but I still think we need to make improvements. I've seen pockets of it across the district, but I would like to champion having elementary work more closely with middle and high school, because then at the middle school and the elementary, okay, we have these programs. Do they really know all of the information of things that the students need to go into these different choices? And if they're not aware of it or what the requirements are, well, how can we be preparing them at the middle school level to get there at high school, or elementary at middle school? And so to me, I think that we need to start earlier, and that's something I would like to work with you, the board, on if I get the position, is really working on that articulation. We've seen some examples of it at Fordson, at Etzel, where it's being implemented and successful on a pocket level or periodic level. But I think I'd like to implement a full district level articulation, and within that, I'm going to champion. I call it the enhanced learning model, and that diagram. And again, it's still in draft format, but it's the ideas that I've developed from the time working in the district, from the great things that are already going on, and for the things that I think we need to do to improve. And I really do understand the things that need to occur within this district to improve, and we can hit the ground running right away once we build the support. And I know that people have a lot of trust in me, so I know that a lot of that is there. We'll have to continue to build that. So.
The next question is from Katie Hetrick. It's you talk of trying new things. How do you later decide if those are the right things or if they need to be abandoned?
Well, I think what you need to do is you need to have a process in place, and this continuous process improvement could be one area where you have to evaluate. Evaluation is critical, and so whatever program or process you're implementing, you need to collect the data. You can't just go based on the field. Now, you might collect survey data depending what it is that you're implementing, but I think you got to go back and look at the data and see where your successes are and where you need to improve. And sometimes that might mean your implementation of a program, for example, if it's the ELL program or a co-teaching, it doesn't mean it's not successful, but it means in these areas it's not as strong. So how can you modify it, what you're doing? And so I think you need to be open about that and transparent. And, we're getting more data-driven. Part of it, is with the evaluation tool. We have growth measures that are in there, and so we do have employees that have to look at their data. The other thing is that every employee has goals in this district. So not only within a program, but you now are aligning employee goals with school improvement plans. One of the best things that I used to implement as a principal, and what I always suggested is at a district level, is let's look at the district strategic plan and the goals for the district. Let's align our personal goals with them, because then they become meaningful. At a school level, let's look at our school improvement plan, align with the district, and let's align our individual goals as a teacher or a principal with the school improvement plan. It then becomes more real and more important, and then again, you need to look at the data. And you need to be honest about the data and transparent. And that's one of the areas that I have expertise in because of the work I've done with my PhD on school accountability.
Well, that wraps up the question portion of our interview. So we do have some time left. If there's something that you haven't covered or that you would like to share with us, or if you'd like to just give closing remarks,
Sure.
The floor is all
Okay.
yours.
All right, thank you very much. I guess I just would like to say that, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with all with the Board of Education, with the community, with the citizens, with the students here, within Dearborn Public Schools. I think I talked to you last time about, this personally and professionally. I'm connected to this district. My family's connected to this district. They love coming to the events that are here. I believe that my story and my mission in Dearborn really is not complete. I think it's my purpose to work with you to serve, and under your guidance and leadership of the board, I think that I'm ready to take that next step, working together as the next superintendent. And I want to let you know that I will provide the same passion, commitment, and desire for excellence that I have done and implemented as a teacher in this district, a principal, and a central office administrator for the last almost 20 years. I've worked with great people in this district, I've worked with great mentors, Brian Whiston. I do think that that connection, the relationship that I have with him as well will help us because he's going up to the state level. So I think that's a real positive thing. Again, the fact that I'm here today is I think, a tribute to all of you, to the school district. And I'm just proud to be here, I really am. I'm confident in my ability. There's been a high level of trust built with me as a school leader. And I think, by choosing me as the next superintendent, you are choosing not only to partner with me, but you're going to bring parents, teachers, community members, staff, support staff. We're going to come together because of the reputation that's been developed both from you as the Board of Education and me as an educator here in Dearborn. I really do believe that we can do some great things. We've done a lot of good things. We're facing a lot of adversity at the state and national level. There's been a lot of challenges in the educational realm at this point in time, especially on the political level. But I really do that, I believe that as a united team, we can work together. We can instill lifelong learning within our students, with citizenship for our students. We can instill a sense of pride, not only in the city and in the school district. And I want to let you know that I will work as hard as I can each and every day in collaboration with all of you to ensure that we can make a difference in the lives of students and ensure that each and every child reaches his or her potential. And so I would just like, in closing, just to say it's really been an honor and pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity and your consideration that you're giving me for the next superintendent of Dearborn Public Schools. Thank you.
Wait, I'm not finished, I'm not finished.
Wait.
I still have a paragraph to read. No, you're okay, I'm just teasing. But we just want to say that we appreciate your continued interest in the position. We're not prepared to make a decision tonight, but we will make that decision on Monday. So we wanted to make sure that we keep the suspense for, the entire weekend. But we do thank you for coming in and appreciate the chance to get to know you even better.
It's like those TV shows.
I just disappointed everybody in this room. I mean, just
Well,
really,
I want to
it's
say something.
not fair.
This is a really tough decision. We all take it very seriously. We all have been so busy. There's still information we need to look through. We still need to do some research. We really are taking this so seriously. We want to do our due diligence, and we need time to do that, especially with graduations and everything. We just haven't been able to spend all the time we need. So,
This is the most important thing that we do.
absolutely, this is
This
This
is
is the
Right
most
now.
important, job.
So I absolutely agree with you. We have to make sure that we're sure.
And I think that it deserves contemplation.
Absolutely.
And I think that as a district, it speaks very highly of the district that we're in the position that we are to make a choice between two really great candidates. And it's not an easy decision. Speaking of which, we did ask for each candidate to give us references that we can, names and numbers of people that we can speak to regarding the candidates. And I know that there are some board members that are going to volunteer today to contact some of these people and give the board feedback. So we could do this a couple of different ways. I think that it's probably best to split that list up. If there are a couple board members that would like to volunteer.
Yes, I'd like to volunteer for that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll volunteer to contact some.
Sure, I will too.
Okay, then what I'll do in the essence of time is either we can divide it up evenly and just, count off 1, 2, 3, or if you guys would like to communicate by email which people you would like to contact. That way we don't have people calling the same people.
You'll probably spend a couple minutes right now and figure it out fairly quickly, I think.
May I make a suggestion?
Certainly.
I'm not involved, it's you three, but recognizing that trustee Bazey does work during the day, we were talking before that some of the folks might be easier to get a hold of during the day. And I don't know whether it indicates that they have cell or work numbers there, but if you look at it now, maybe
Yeah,
trustee Mead and
there are
trustee
both.
Petchikoff could start with that.
And they're really,
just to-
there's about 20 to 25 per, for each candidate, so, I don't know how you guys want to divide it up.
A lot of people,
Yeah,
a lot of talking.
yes. And just for clarification, we are bound by the Open Meetings Act and the Freedom of Information Act. So I would ask that you not communicate through email with regards to your findings, that we will have it as part of our discussion on Monday night to share your findings versus putting it into writing. I think that it would be, I don't want to violate the Open Meetings Act by having a conversation about something that somebody had outside of an open meeting, so I'd rather discuss it in an open meeting with all 7 of us sitting at the same table. So I have added it as a discussion item for Monday night in the process of the superintendent decision. So whatever your findings are, if you could wait to share those with the rest of the board until Monday night, I think that would be best for transparency.
On the list for John, he also included some references in his original packet as well. Do we want
Both
to
did.
add them?
Yes, both
to-
of them
Yes,
did.
both of them.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Yeah, so they started with the original list and then they added more to the list.
Okay. My other concern would be, since probably most of these phone numbers are probably work-related, we're going into a weekend, because this is Thursday, we might not get a hold of a lot of these
What
individuals.
I'm looking at, when you look at Glenn's, it does have, or Dr. Maleyko, it does have a number of cells. It indicates, with Dr. Van Wagner, it doesn't say whether it's a cell, but it has an email address. So maybe, for the people that I'm gonna be contacting, I'll probably send them an email and see if I can get a time, if they'd be okay with me calling
Well, maybe
them.
then what you can do, just to speed the process up, is that if, for example, Mary has time tomorrow to start calling people, when she calls them, send an email to the other 2 saying, I spoke with this person, I spoke with that person, or I sent an email to this person, so that everyone can check it off their list, so that they're not calling. Or if you anticipate that you'd like to call 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever,
Well, yeah, I think we ought to just divvy it up now
Yeah.
rather
That's
than,
what I-
well, that's
Well-
fine, you
Yeah.
guys can decide. I was just trying to help the
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
along, that's all.
Okay. Do we have to do it?
It does not have to be done in an open meeting.
Okay,
Nope.
perfect.
You, there's 3 of you. You guys can
Figure it
meet
out.
for coffee tomorrow morning if you'd like and decide how you're gonna divvy it up. That's fine. I appreciate taking the time to do this due diligence for the rest of the board, and I look forward to hearing what you find out.
We can do it now after the meeting,
Yep.
can't
Yeah.
we?
Yes.
Rather than tomorrow morning for breakfast.
I'm
since-
not meeting
Yes.
tomorrow morning for
No,
breakfast.
you're.
in our reporting back on Monday, are we going to report back per individual or just a general?
That is up to you. I would
Description, okay.
probably
What's
suggest
the
that we
board
not
looking
do
for?
it
Yeah.
individually, because we do
don't wanna get-
wanna
Right.
get home before midnight and make a
Right,
decision.
so just a general,
I mean, unless there's somebody that you speak with that stands
got
out,
some-
that
yeah.
you feel that, is imperative that the board know the information, then, then I might say that, yes, you want to report individually, but I would probably have like a collective summary. I'm guessing that you're gonna, the more people you talk to, you're gonna come together with a theme,
Some kind of, you're right.
you know. And if you don't, we probably need to know that too. So, okay, any other questions about the process or next steps or? All right, looks like Monday's gonna be a interesting day.
Happy reading.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Can I just?
Oh, go ahead,
I just
sorry.
want to say one thing. I appreciate, obviously.
Yes, the audience.
The
support.
audience, and this is why our district works so well.
Absolutely.
Because we
Yes.
have concern from all levels of the
Yes.
community. So I
Good
do
point.
appreciate everybody's time, and it was very helpful talking to the crowd as well between the interviews. So,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.